Greenwood Common Council on Monday, September the 17th. If you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and after the Pledge of Allegiance we'll be led in prayer by Mr. Dan Kelly. And this is a International Deaf Awareness Week, and he will be signing the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love it. This program, can you hear me? Okay. Before I pray, I want to share one time tonight, the time for the deaf people. That Father, I guess because of time obedience, we be obedient to God. And boy, man, Father in heaven. Anyway, and I know that most people pray with their eyes closed, but deaf people pray with their eyes open. That's when I see dynamic, you can keep your eyes open. Would you please pray with me? Father, we thank you for tonight. I pray that this meeting, the council, with open heart, and here have a dialogue to make the best decision for the city people of Greenwood. Father, we know without you, we are nothing. With you, we can do great things. Father, you love us so much, you gave us your son to die for us. Again, you are awesome. Thank you again for your love for us. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call.
Armstrong.
Here.
Bates.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Stein.
Here.
Gibson. Here. Hill.
Here.
Hopper.
Here.
And Lexi.
Here. We have a quorum. Before we go any further, I would like to welcome our newest council member, Mr. Bob Dine. He was chosen in the caucus a week ago, and this is his first council meeting. So welcome, Bob. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
All of you should have received copies of the minutes for our last regular meeting on September the 5th. Do I have a motion? So moved. Mr. Bates, second. Second, Mr. Lexi. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing a roll call in the minutes.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Stein.
Aye.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
And Lexi.
Aye.
Minutes are approved on a vote of 8-0. This time, it's a time for audience requests, and we have a couple things going on this evening, so I'm going to invite the mayor to the podium at this time, or to the front at this time.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank all of you for being here tonight. It's always a very special night when we have a swearing-in ceremony of our firefighters and our police officers. We like to recognize them all publicly, but we also like to recognize the families for being here. It's kind of a standing rule under my management that you're all sworn in as members of our family now. So as your firefighters come on board, all of you come on board as a member of the city of Greenwood, and we want to thank you for that. We want to thank you, I want to thank all the firefighters for dedicating their service to the city and for what it really means. But we really appreciate what they do with our staff that we currently have. I can assure you that they will all be trained in properly. They'll have some of the best training. I believe the best training in the state of Indiana. We'll take good care of them. We'll do our best to send them home better every day than they did before they came in. With that, Chief Hoggett.
All right, as I call your name, please come to the front. We have 8 of our new part-time members here tonight to take the oath of office. Gary Shives, Paul Chantry, Ryan Boyle, Nathan Perry, Nicholas Volkman, Austin Dickey, James Taylor, and Wesley Smith.
Welcome, gentlemen. If y'all would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Paul Volkman,
Having been appointed to the position of firefighter EMT
to the position of firefighter EMT
for the Greenwood Fire Department
for the Greenwood Fire Department
on September 17th, 2018,
on September 17th, 2018,
swear that I will obey
swear that I will obey
and enforce
and enforce
all of the laws
all of the laws
of the United States,
of the United
the
States,
state of Indiana,
the state of Indiana,
the ordinances
the ordinances
of the city of Greenwood,
of the city of Greenwood,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and
of the
regulations
Greenwood Fire Department.
of the Greenwood Fire Department,
And I will obey
and I will obey
all of the lawful orders
all the lawful orders
of my superior officers
of my superior officers,
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge my duties
discharge my
of
duties
said office
of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And now at this time, it's also a honor and tradition in the fire service to have a loved one pin your badge. So whoever is here for each of these individuals, please come up to pin the badge.
Don't draw too much blood.
And don't hit the baby. And now, you and your families can go and celebrate at Station 91 with some refreshments and an open house. Congratulations.
All right, we'll take just a moment for those of you who are going to leave, so you have other business to carry on. All right, Mr. Johnston, I think you have something you'd like to talk to us about?
Thank you. Mr. President, Daniel Johnston, City Engineer. Come before you this evening regarding the upcoming NDOT Community Crossings Matching Grant Program. This is their annual 2018 funding match for pavement preservation, road reconstruction, road rehabilitation. And we are looking to apply to hopefully be selected to receive the maximum of $1 million from the state. This is for cities, towns, and counties to apply for this fund. So I come before you to request that the council authorize the president to sign on behalf of the council a support letter that I have drafted. We will include that in the application documents.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Hopper, a second by Mr. Bates. Any questions for Mr. Johnston? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. this is an opportunity for members of the audience to address the council. So if there's anybody here who would like to speak to the council, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and there is a 5-minute time limit on individuals and 20-minute on groups.
Good evening, members of the council. Randy Gooden, 1157 Central Park Boulevard, South, Greenwood, Indiana. I want to speak to you tonight regarding a couple of the resolutions that are on the agenda. Project Brutus promises you 1,250 jobs with an average wage of $14.65 per hour without benefits paid, meaning the benefits are there, but the employee's going to have to pay them. And that can be found on their presentation from August 20th. We'll find that on their slide deck. This equates to a gross annual income of roughly $30,000 a year, which is just $5,140 short of the federal poverty line for the year 2018. And what that equates to is an average hourly wage of $11.95 an hour versus the $14.65, a difference of $2.70 an hour above the federal poverty line. That does not factor in the cost of insurance to the employee, which could drastically reduce their take-home pay. If these workers have a family of 4, then they will qualify for federal and state programs such as Medicaid and the Healthy Indiana Plan, reduced lunches, and the list goes on and on. And through no fault of their own, they become, I hate using this word, but it becomes somewhat of a burden to the system and the taxpayer. For the website Talk Poverty for the year 2018 thus far, Indiana ranks 31st of the 50 free states for overall poverty. This equates to 13.5% of our population living at or below the poverty line. For working age women, we rank 33rd for those who live at or below the federal poverty line. We rank 43rd of the 50 states for hunger and food insecurity. Meaning, at some point during the year, these people experience difficulty providing enough food due to a lack of money or resources. In 2017, we ranked 30th for overall poverty, so we fell. For working age women, we were lower last year than we are this year. And for the hunger and food insecurity, we've stayed the same. We are still at 43rd out of 50. That's pretty low on that list. In a study published by the Indiana Institute for Working Families, it was noted, Indiana once stood as a leader in the Midwest, ranking at least average or better than the region as a whole in family incomes, poverty, prime age, employment rates, union coverage, and more. But after 2004, wages began to decline alongside policy choices that cut job quality standards and worker voice, weaken the safety net, and limit economic opportunities for middle and low-income families. Indiana now resembles a southern state as much as or more than our Midwestern neighbors when it comes to child poverty, low-income family, rates of adults with post-secondary degrees, and more. It was also noted, while there are some areas where the state has done well, there are many more where Indiana does not measure up. Some attributed to policy decisions resulting in poor access to the job market, low wage, low quality jobs, loosened labor standards, and a weakened safety net. Indiana now has the highest rates in the Midwest for poverty wage jobs and working poor families. Of all of the Midwestern states, we rate last. Most troubling is the increasing reliance on low wage occupations. This number really hit a chord with me, with 7 in 10 jobs by 2026 projected to be low income for a family of 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 3. A husband, a wife, and 1 child. That's 8 years away. That's 70% of the state of Indiana that will live at or below the federal poverty line. The current median hourly wage in Indiana is $17.03 per hour, not $14.65. And remember, that number they gave you is an average. I don't know how they calculated their average, if they took the salary of the president into account as well as the janitor to reach that average. But they have not told you what the starting wage is, nor where these jobs will cap out. My point with all this is to ask that you deny Resolution 1820 and 1821 until such a time as this developer can present you with jobs which pay a livable wage. I know that individuals that make $30,000 a year cannot afford to live in my neighborhood.
Mr. Gooden, your time is up.
All right, thank you, sir. Please consider this when you vote.
Would anyone else wishing to address the council at this time?
I am Dale Marmaduke, 11th Street, Pilgrim Drive. Mr. Good and I are going to get together and form a group so we get that 20 minutes and maybe match that of the people for the Brutus project. But I would like to see changes in the contract with Brutus before it's signed and considerations of other things. When you look at the layout as presented, you know, one of the first things that jumps at you is they don't have any trail through it. You know, the city is working on adding trails. If we're doing new development, shouldn't we require a trail that goes through to the next development and allows people alternatives to get to work? Can our planning department do the planning on this rather than just blindly accepting a contract from this company? The city also needs to require the builder to do the road improvements. You're talking about a lot of people, massive warehouse trucks, and then you want the citizens to pay for it because you're giving all your tax money and TIF money back to Brutus. And I remind you that TIF money really is taxpayer money, just with a misleading name. And so we need to recognize that the company coming in needs to pay for their own development. The contract states average salary, which is very misleading. A better thing would be to change the contract and say median salary and standard deviation. In fact, for the $7 million the city's offering this company, maybe we should ask them to do some reporting, like median salary and standard deviation by zip code, so we can see where the workers are coming from. We know that we have full employment in Greenwood right now, and we don't have very many people who are going to take lower paying jobs here in Greenwood. So when we bring in all this traffic and all these people and all these other problems, it'd be nice to know where they came from and how we can deal with this. The contract really needs to be indexed to inflation, not only the wages, but the taxes. You know, when we finally get to where they're paying taxes, we've frozen the amount, and we're getting, in fact, less than inflated dollars back when we finally do start paying for it. It'll never pay for the road work and the other things we're putting in now after the interest in the bonds. And as Mr. Goodwin stated, health benefits need to be better defined before voting. And all sorts of companies claim health benefits that don't really exist, aren't worth anything. And then lastly, or near the last anyway, we don't need a rush. This is an excellent property, and it seems like the city is so desperate for instant gratification, that gratification being a monster warehouse with cars and tracks well beyond the street's ability and the taxpayers' ability for years, that we're going to accept a one-sided payday type loan. The city can wait for a monster warehouse. We can wait and see the project would actually help the city. The city needs to present a fair and enforceable contract. Remember that we also have groups, as Mr. Goodwin pointed out, who want to build hospitals. Armo's getting a new hospital being put in. Who wants a high-paid, great benefit to the community hospital next to a massive trucking warehouse? I'm going to have to ask you to vote no on this Brutus project until we get some information. And that's something that actually benefits the city in exchange for the $7 million, which is really probably a $10 to $15 million gift after you factor in the inflation and the other factors that we're going to give them. I thank you for your time, and I hope you'll vote no on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Marmaduke. Anyone else wishing to address the council at this time? Seeing none, moving on to reports. Corporation Counsel.
You should all receive the litigation report and the items in the monthly, and if you have questions about either of those, please contact me.
Anything from the Controller's Office?
Not yet.
All right. Committee and board reports. Y'all should have received a copy of my report from the last RDC meeting. And Mr. Bates.
Mr. President, we did have a plan commission meeting, which was a training session last Thursday, combined with members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, as well as members of the council. Councilor Gibson was able to be there. basic was just back to the basics, to cover things, basics of the Plan Commission, petitions heard by the Plan Commission, the basics of the Board of Zoning Appeals, the petitions heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then there's a questions and Q&A session. And I do have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that was given by the senior planner, Bill Peoples, if anyone's interested in a copy of the PowerPoint presentation.
I believe he emailed a copy of that to us.
Yes, that can happen, yes.
All right, any other committee or board reports? Seeing none, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. First reading, ordinance 1823.
An ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the city of Greenwood, Indiana, and city utilities for the year 2019, sponsored by Bates.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second. Second by Mr. Hill. Mr. Wright, Mr. Mayor.
Have a request to amend on this one. We had one oversight in the legal department, the utility specialist biweekly pay. We'd like to change that from 2,135.29 to 2,230.69. In the public works, the building services supervisor, we'd like to change that from non-exempt to exempt. And you'll see later on in the agenda, there's also one to do that in the 2018 salary ordinance. And then finally, under the stormwater utility, change the title of locator to utilities locator.
All right, do you have a motion to amend ordinance 1823 as presented? Motion by Mr. Bates, second. Second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion on the amendment to ordinance 1823? Roll call on the motion to amend.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Excuse me. Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Hill. Hopper.
Aye.
And Lexi.
Aye.
Ordinance 1823 is amended to vote 8-0. Any discussion on ordinance 1823 as amended?
I have a question for the controller. How did we arrive at a 5% cost of living adjustment?
I think
We actually went in with it as being what sort of raised where we tried to see could we fund, and based on funding all of the budgets that were requested, the 5% we were actually able to fund on top of getting all the operating and capital budgets funded. So that's why
Mr. Mayor,
we went to 5.
you'd like to address this?
Sure. The controller addressed it as an accountant would, I'll address it as the mayor. Why a 5% increase makes sense to me and to my staff. Couple things we want to talk about. Number one, Greenwood is still one of the lowest tax rates per capita for an Indiana city at 0.6447%. The only one that comes close to us that's lower would be a larger city, and that's Fishers, and they're at 0.5996. In 2018, we've levied $239 per resident. Now that in and of itself is an amazing number, which makes Greenwood number one in tax dollar efficiency in the top 30 communities. And if you look at the top 30 communities, we're number 29 at $239. If you look at the communities surrounding us, at Franklin, they're at $5 or $505 a year. You can look at all the different ones, and you can go clear up to. I find it interesting if you go to Lake County, they're $70,000. They're a little different. They make a lot of difference. But why do we do that? Because we're an efficient city. Our people do an efficient job. We do a great job. And if you look at these numbers, it proves that we can do a lot more with less. And we've done that over the last 7 years of this administration. We've had growth effects for all of our employees. The assessed values of this city have gone up 26.4% since 2010. That's 3.3% per year. That's an awesome number. Why is that? Because the city is putting money back into the community. We're seeing our community continue to build to be a stronger community, and it's making a better community for people to live in and want to come live, work, and play in Greenwood. The tax rate is only increased by 6.5% since 2010. Again, that's 0.8% per year. That's an amazingly low amount that we've raised our taxes. The population has increased by 15% since 2010, about 2.2% per year. But our street surfaces have also, that we have to maintain, they've grown 20% since 2010. The city is growing, the population is growing, yet we're keeping the taxes low. And as we do that, we're doing that with an amazing staff that deserves to see that 5% increase. Nearly all of our operating and capital budget requests are able to be funded with allowing for 5% across the board salary increases. The only thing we didn't get was when the fire department asked for 9, we cut that down to 3. We did that by taking a look at all the numbers we could not afford to put nine new firefighters on the city at this time, which as time goes, we'll continue to grow the numbers of employees throughout the city, whether it's public safety or otherwise. We'll continue to grow those numbers as we grow. We maintain competitive salaries in a growing economy, and it's necessary to retain our talented employees. We are losing employees to Indianapolis, to other communities, to Fishers, because the pay is higher. We need to keep our employees here because we have some great employees that work for the city. Some of the changes that we've made compensation cutbacks over the years too, to be able to fund all of the different funds throughout the city. Number one is we no longer have longevity for new hired city employees. Higher payroll contributions, higher deductibles, higher co-pays for health insurance that are at least a minimum of a $1,500 impact over the last 7 years. The disability in the short and long term, our reform and overtime policies have had to change to be able to maintain a balanced budget. And as you remember, every year since this administration came in, we've presented this council with a balanced budget with money in reserves every year to build up our budget so that we could have this day come where we made allowances for our employees. And hypothetically, a police officer who's married with 2 children since 2010 now pays roughly $888 more per year on their premiums. They pay between $10 and $15 more per doctor visit, which equals out to about another $150 a year. Their out-of-pocket deductible is approximately $5,000 per year, or can be up to that. The total increase in the salary for a first-class patrolman is $8,162 since 2010, approximately $907 a year. Balance that against those numbers above. It's really not an increase, it's a decrease. But all of those numbers aside, more importantly, I want to talk about our employees and the class of employees that this city has. Every day, I get to go out, talk to different employees, see what they're up to, see what they need, what needs they have, and what needs we can meet. I'm going to tell you what, you are looking at an amazing group of people behind me. Just yesterday, I received an email from one of our citizens in Greenwood. They were out trimming their tree limbs and cutting them down and getting ready to put them all in a trailer so they can haul them over to the Fry Road property. It was an 80-year-old couple with their son cutting these trees. While they were cutting down the trees and dragging them out to the street, they just happened by chance see the limb truck coming down the street, and they stopped the truck and said, "Hey, could you guys wait a few minutes? We're going to drag all these out here. Could you take them for us?" Instead, the guys got out of their truck. They went and they drug the limbs out to the street and put them in the truck for those people. That's the kind of people we have. I get comments from other people that have called in. A funeral procession drives by. Our street department workers turn around and stand at attention at a funeral procession. Don't you wish every citizen would do that? We've got top quality people here. Our law enforcement, our firefighters, all the way down to street workers, sanitation workers, our leaf and limb people, every one of those people deserve that 5%. I understand there's some contention about it, that maybe we could put another police officer or 2 on the road, and that's a great idea, but we only have 253 other people who could use an increase in their salary to bring them up to a livable wage. So for that is why we're asking for the 5%. Any questions?
The reason I asked about it is because the Social Security beneficiaries who also, we would assume, put in a lifetime of hard work, et cetera, they only got a The workers for the state of Indiana, who are similarly good workers, go to work every day and get a pension like our people do. They got a 2 to 3% raise on average. And Johnson County employees, just a few miles in any direction, they got a 3% cost of living adjustment. And I'm not here to criticize any of our employees. I've sat up here before and complimented the job that the notables, especially the street department, fire department, police department, that they all do, and I appreciate it. But we also represent people who go to work every day, not go to work for the city. They go to work at Lilly, or they go to work as sole proprietors or whatever, and we have to answer to those people who are paying all of our city salaries.
And I appreciate that, thank you. But I remember back to the years past when these people went for years with no salary increase. And that was not fair to them, because every year the cost of living went up about 2%, so they lost 2% per year. 1 year they got an 8% bump, and then for 4 they got 0. They lost money. I think it's time that we show these people we respect them, we care for them, and we want to show them our respect, and we can afford to do that.
Any other questions for the mayor?
I just love to make one comment, Mr. President. I, of course, saw this and looked at it and studied it and came to the conclusion, yes, last several years we've been able to give our employees a 3% raise, which really just amounts to the cost of living rate, to the inflation rate. Primarily, that's how it's always calculated anyway. I saw this as a real raise, for real wages, and not just a cost of living raise. That's why I'm supporting it today.
Thank you, Councilman Bates. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I know when I first got on the council, the prior administration before Mayor Myers, we were running deficits, and I know it took a lot initially the first few years to turn that around, and we had a good controller then that really helped out. We have a good controller now who's keeping a track of expenses and knowing where our city's at, and I agree with Mr. Bates. I see this as the first time where we're able to actually give a raise, not just a cost of living adjustment. So I think this is a good idea. Any other discussion on the council?
I was going to suggest a 3% raise, but in light of the sentiments, I'm going to suggest instead of the 5% that's been presented, I'll suggest a 4% raise. So I would move to amend this ordinance by dividing every salary number set forth thereon by 1.05 and multiplying it by 1.04.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lexi to amend the raise to from 5% to 4%. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
I have a second by Mr. Armstrong. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to say something. Quite frequently, I get compliments on different employees within the city that are out there in the public eye, and how hard they work, and that they all seem to have a lot of pride in what they do, and that they don't leave trash, which we don't want them to leave trash, but they don't have to pick up after them, and they really feel like that if they ask the person a question, they get an answer. If the person doesn't know, they'll find an answer, and they'll go back and they'll knock on their door. And I just feel like that our employees go above and beyond, and they're a great representation or an extension of our city, and it's important that they have the confidence and the pride in their jobs, because that reflects on all of us.
I agree with everything that you just said, Mrs. Gibson. But a lot of the people who are not in this room tonight are our taxpayers. Many of them are still at work, and they're about the silent majority. There are a big number of silent people and things like this.
That's true, but we can't penalize these people.
I'm not penalizing anybody. They're getting a raise. I've suggested a 4% raise. And, that's that's a pretty good raise. I bet the average American doesn't get a 4% raise, you see that? The people who pay taxes.
No, but I think that we've been fortunate that we've had a lot of people that haven't left and gone to find employment where there's
I've heard
higher.
it the other way. I've heard the Johnson County employees leave to come to Greenwood because they don't want to get the 3% raise.
Well, but that's their option.
Yep.
We just have to agree to disagree.
Right, any further discussion on the motion to amend? All right, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote on this motion, since there seems to be some differences of opinion. So, roll call on motion to amend ordinance 1823.
Bates,
Nay.
Campbell,
Nay.
Dine,
Nay.
Gibson,
Nay.
Hill,
Aye.
Hopper,
Nay.
Lexi,
Aye.
and Armstrong.
Aye. Motion to amend fails on a vote of 3-5. Any further discussion on ordinance 1823 as previously amended? Seeing as roll call on first reading, ordinance 1823 as amended.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Hill,
Nay.
Hopper,
Aye.
Lexi,
Nay.
Armstrong,
Nay.
and Bates.
Aye.
Ordinance 1823 passes first reading of vote of 5-3. Ordinance 1824.
An ordinance for appropriations and tax rates for the 2019 budget year, sponsored by Bates.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bates, second. Second by Mr. Lexi. Any discussion? Ordinance 1824. Seeing none, roll call. First reading, ordinance 1824.
This is a public hearing.
Do we?
Can
All right.
I open the public hearing?
Yeah. Those series of emails I got today don't affect this one?
Well, we're gonna probably continue the public hearing to the next
Okay,
hearing.
all right. All right, this is scheduled for a public hearing tonight, so we'll open it for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1824, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, close the public hearing.
No, don't close it, let's continue it. We're going to continue it because I thought Greg was going to explain.
All right, reopen the public hearing.
We had an issue with the Form 3, the 10 days notification on that. They don't count the day that you submit it, so we had to resubmit it. So the public hearing also has to occur on the 1st and then the adoption on the 15th.
So we need a motion to continue it to
Motion to continue the public hearing to October 1st.
October 1. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Bates to continue the public hearing to October the 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. All in favor? Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Public hearing is continued to 10-1. Ordinance 1825.
You actually, don't you have for ordinance 1824, you have a motion on the floor. For first reading, are you going to now postpone first reading to October 1st? Or are you going to vote on it? Under the statute, you can have the hearing at any time after its introduction, but you cannot finally adopt the budget, your second reading, until 10 days after you've had the public hearing. You cannot have your second reading and final adoption until the October 15th meeting. So when you do a first reading, it's up to you. You can either postpone second reading October 1st to the 15th at the conclusion of the public hearing. You can go ahead and postpone your first reading, but you have a motion on the floor to the next meeting October 1st, or you can do first reading and then.
I
have
move
the
to
hearing.
postpone first reading.
That makes no sense to go on.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lexi, second by Mr. Hopper to postpone first reading until October 1. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is postponed unanimously.
Thank you.
Do we do the same thing for the next one? All right, ordinance 1825.
An ordinance vacating a portion of platted no access easement EMH&T on behalf of Streams Edge Properties LLC located at 800 Commerce Parkway South Drive, sponsored by Campbell.
Do I have a motion?
Where's everybody going? This is actually the good one right here.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bates, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. This is scheduled for a public hearing, so we'll open it up for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against ordinance 1825, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Are they here? Because I don't think they were here last time, right? Or were they here and Nessig wasn't here? Which one was it? Nessig was here.
Nessig was here.
Are they here this time?
No.
Did we not ask them to be here to explain what exactly they wanted, or no?
I believe they were notified, but I cannot say that for certain.
All right, anyone wishing to speak for or against? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any discussion on the council?
Should it be postponed until
All right, seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1825.
Dine,
Sponsor it, Mike. There you go.
Gibson. Aye. Hill.
Nay.
Hopper.
Nay.
Lexi.
Nay.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Nay.
And Campbell.
Aye. We have a 4-4 vote.
Dies.
It
It
dies.
fails to pass.
It fails to pass on a vote of 4-4. Ordinance 1826.
So it comes back at the next meeting?
No, it fails to pass.
Okay.
Ordinance 1826.
An ordinance amending Greenwood Municipal Code 1993, Chapter 2, Article 8, Section 2-74, maternity leave benefits, sponsored by Gibson.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bates. Any discussion, ordinance 1826? Seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1826.
Gibson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
And Dine.
Aye.
Ordinance 1826 passes first reading 8-0. Ordinance 1827.
An ordinance amending the 2018 salary ordinance, common council ordinance number 1745, to change the classification status of the building services supervisor and regarding payment of the city attorney, sponsored by Gibson.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bates. Any discussion, ordinance 1827?
I would move to divide the salary numbers by 1.05 and multiply them times 1.04. That's an amendment.
We have a motion to amend ordinance 1827 as stated by Mr. Lexi. Do you have a second? Do I have a second on the motion to amend ordinance 1827? Seeing none, motion fails for lack of a second. Do I have any further discussion on ordinance 1827? Seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1827.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Nay.
Armstrong.
Nay.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
And Gibson.
Aye.
Ordinance 1827 passes first reading on a vote of 6-2. Ordinance 1828.
An ordinance amending Greenwood Municipal Code 1993 as amended, Chapter 2, Article 8, Section 268, to provide for an additional one-day paid holiday for Independence Day for the year 2019, sponsored by Bates and Campbell.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bates, second by Mr. Lexi. Any discussion? Ordinance 1828.
Mr. President, I believe this is because of the way the holidays fall this coming year, so that's why there's an additional holiday built in there for this next year.
I think so. Any other discussion?
This is something we've done any time that the 4th of July is on either the Tuesday or Thursday of the week. Just to make it to where it's a long weekend.
Right. Any other discussion? Ordinance 1828. Seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1828.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Ordinance 1828 passes first reading 8-0. Ordinance 1829.
An ordinance fixing the salary of the mayor of the city of Greenwood, Indiana for the year 2019, sponsored by Hayes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hopper. Do I have a second?
You're welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? Ordinance 1829. Seeing none, roll call. Ordinance 1829, first reading.
Lexi,
Nay.
Armstrong,
Nay.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Hill, and Hopper.
Aye.
Ordinance 1829 passes first reading 6-2. Ordinance 1830.
An ordinance fixing the salary of the clerk of the city of Greenwood, Indiana for the year 2019, sponsored by Hayes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Hopper, second.
Second.
And Mr. Bates. Any discussion? Ordinance 1830. Seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1830.
Armstrong,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Hill, Hopper,
Aye.
and Lexi.
Having spoken with Madam Clerk, nay.
Ordinance 1830 passes first reading on a vote of 7-1. You did vote nay, correct?
Nay.
Nay. Ordinance 1831.
An ordinance fixing the salary of the city judge of the city of Greenwood, Indiana for the year 2019, sponsored by Hayes.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Hopper, second. Second. Second by Mr. Bates. Any discussion, ordinance 1831?
How much of this is required by state law? I know they've, the judge's salary is set by state law, so therefore, I wanted to make sure that we follow that.
For a city judge or a town judge, it's entirely at the discretion of the city or town council. There is no state law specifically providing for the salary.
All right. Any other?
Am I thinking the probation department or?
I'm sorry?
Am I thinking the probation department is where that?
Yes, yes, there are state requirements for probation officer salaries.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, ordinance 1831, first reading.
Armstrong,
Nay.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson, Hill, Hopper, and Lexi.
Nay.
Ordinance 1831 passes first reading on a vote of 6-2. Ordinance 1832.
An ordinance fixing the salary of the common council of the city of Greenwood, Indiana for the year 2019, sponsored by Hayes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? Ordinance 1832.
I propose an amendment to adjust the numbers by dividing them by 1.05 and multiplying them by 1.02, which would make the bi-weekly salary of the common council member, I believe, $471.21, and which would amend the ordinance for the common council president to, instead of saying $531.23, it would say $516.05. That's a 2% increase, y'all.
We already had a 2% increase, not a 5%.
Ours is only 2%.
We're only getting 2%.
Part-time. All right, any other?
I withdraw my.
Okay, motion to amend is withdrawn. Any further discussion to ordinance 1832? Seeing none, roll call, ordinance 1832, first reading.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Hill,
Nay.
Hopper,
Aye.
Lexi,
Nay.
and Armstrong.
Nay.
Ordinance 1832 passes first reading on a vote of 5-3. Ordinance 1833.
An ordinance vacating a portion of platted no-access easement Nestle Waters North America Inc. or GPT Greenwood owner LLC located at 900 Commerce Parkway West Drive, sponsored by Campbell.
Do you have a motion? Motion by Mr. Hopper, second by Mr. Bates. Any discussion? Ordinance 1833. Seeing none, roll call, first reading, ordinance 1833.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
And Bates.
Aye.
Ordinance 1833 passes on a vote, passes first reading and vote at 8-0. Resolution 1823.
A resolution establishing holidays for employees of the city of Greenwood for the year 2019, sponsored by Bates and Campbell.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion Mr. Bates, second
Second.
by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion?
Well, I have a suggested amendment to amend it. There is, because I wasn't sure that you were actually going to give the extra holiday. If you look at Resolution 1823, we need to make an amendment in instead of 11 holidays, you are going to give 12. So amended to say, establishing holidays, there shall be 12 paid holidays for the year 2019. And in the section, setting forth the holidays for Independence Day, it shall be Independence Day and the day after, that you are actually giving 2 days for that holiday.
I make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bates to make the motion to amend as presented by council, second by Mr. Lexi. Any discussion on the motion to amend Resolution 1823?
Do we need to put anything in there that says that it's the reason is that the 4th of July is on a Thursday and therefore we're giving them the extra day?
You have said that in the ordinance that allows for 2019 the extra 12th day to put wherever you want to, because that's how the holidays are. We don't set them out by its Independence Day or Christmas. It says you shall get 11 or 12, and then the resolution sets out which days those are.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the motion to amend Resolution 1823? Seeing none, roll call on the amendment.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Hill. Hopper. Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
And Campbell.
Aye. Resolution 1823 is amended, voted 8-0. Any further discussion on Resolution 1823 as amended?
I feel like I already said that already. Section 2, actual holidays has 12 days listed as actual holidays.
Did they amend it? That's not how it was introduced, so I had to mark it up, so maybe what I do, fix the change.
All right, any further discussion on Resolution 1823? Seeing none, roll call, first reading.
Gibson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
And Dine.
Aye.
Resolution 1823 passes, first reading 8-0. Second reading, ordinance 1821.
An ordinance providing for additional appropriations from the general fund to budget classifications 111, $5,000 and 338, $11,000 in the city court budget, and from the adult probation fund to the adult probation budget 111, $5,000, sponsored by Gibson.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second by Mr. Bates. Any discussion? Ordinance 1821. Seeing none, roll call, second reading.
Hill.
Aye.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
And Gibson.
Ordinance 1821 passes, second reading 8-0. Ordinance 1822.
An ordinance transferring funds within the Parks Fund from budget category 444 to budget categories 222, $5,000 and 336, $48,000, sponsored by Gibson.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion Mr. Bates, second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion? Ordinance 1822. Seeing none, roll call. Ordinance 1822, second reading.
Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi.
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
And Hill.
Ordinance 1822 passes second reading 8-0. Resolution 1820.
A resolution declaring certain real property improvements for tax abatement, Scanell Properties, number 346, LLC, for benefit of Project Brutus, sponsored by Campbell.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bates. The podium is yours.
Thank you very much. I've got a revised presentation that we'd like to share with you as well. First and foremost, just really want to thank the council, the mayor, his economic development team for your time and consideration and understanding as to why we couldn't reveal the end user as it relates to Project Brutus on both this resolution and then the next one listed in the agenda. But as promised, when we first presented the project to you back in August, we knew we wouldn't be able to get to this final approval stage without disclosing who that tenant is going to be. And so with me tonight, I do have the Project Brutus team. I've got some individuals here from Scanell Development. And then also with me is Ryan Wilson, who is the Economic Development Manager with Amazon. So I am going to try to get the technology to work. If I can. It's you, right?
You too.
So I won't talk too terribly much longer. I know that Ryan is the individual that you guys are definitely wanting to hear from and kind of dig into the details on all fronts as it relates to the project. Give you a much more deeper dive into some of the things that we were able to touch on when we first introduced the project to you. So with that said, I will. Sure, it's Alexis Souter with KSM Location Advisors.
Well, thank you for everyone's time and attention and the effort that's gone into this project so far. My name is Ryan Wilson, Manager of Economic Development at Amazon. I'm based out of Seattle, but I was born and raised over in Dayton, Ohio and Farmersville, so I think the project code name came from me, so I hope that being Ohio State graduate isn't all against me. But thank you all for your patience. These development projects take a great deal of time. A lot of negotiation and business trade secrets go into getting all these up off the ground. So the confidentiality is really important to us, so I appreciate your patience as we work through that. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Amazon today, a little bit about our fulfillment network. Certainly want to hit on our benefits and associate development career choice programs that all of our associates could be eligible for, veterans hiring, a little bit about what we already have our footprint in the state of Indiana, and then of course talking about the project. So I think everyone's probably fairly familiar with Amazon, but obviously we are a customer-centric company founded by Jeff Bezos to really be a company that focuses on the customer experience. That's our main goal, delivering packages faster, filling customer orders faster, having lower prices, and really driving towards a company culture of the customer comes first. I gave a little example of Jeff's flywheel about how Amazon grows. It's all kind of feeding on each other. The more selection we have, the better customer experience we have, greater traffic, more third-party sellers we have selling in our store. It all kind of grows and feeds each other and continues to help develop Amazon as to be a really great place to do your shopping needs on. So that's a little bit about Amazon. We have multiple different divisions of our company and multiple different companies within Amazon.com, such as Amazon Fresh, which is our grocery delivery service, Audible.com, our online Audible books that we sell, and then of course Amazon Sellers Fulfillment by Amazon, where we actually take small businesses' items, put them in our fulfillment center, and sell them on Amazon on their behalf. So that's one of the small seller benefits that we provide to thousands of small businesses around the country, but certainly in Indiana. So to date, since 2011, since we opened up our first fulfillment center here, Amazon has invested over $6 billion into the state of Indiana. That includes our fulfillment centers, infrastructure, and of course the compensation to our employees. We've added about $3 billion in GDP to the state GDP, thanks to our investments. As of today, we have around 8,500 people. That number fluctuates, directly employed by Amazon. That's created a net effect of an additional 9,000 jobs that's been created as a result of those investments. And then, of course, we have our authors, our small and medium-sized businesses growing and building their businesses on Amazon. So again, like I said, small businesses can actually sell their products on Amazon. We will store them for them, handle the payments for them, and we really encourage small businesses to come to our Amazon store and be a part of the selection that customers can find and really help them be successful. About 50% of our sales are from small businesses, not actually from Amazon products. So it's a very big mix. When you go online, you kind of see just Amazon. It's a lot of small companies that you're supporting by shopping on Amazon as well. We have 7 fulfillment centers and sortation centers around the state, and 1 Prime Now Hub, which is the 2-hour delivery service that we offer. So a little bit about our fulfillment operations and kind of what we're hoping to launch here in the city. We have lots of different types of buildings. Back in the day, we had 1 or 2 warehouses, kind of held everything. All the customer orders came from there. Today, we really kind of built these out into more specialized buildings. We can do that faster delivery, better delivery at lower costs. What we're talking about today is what we call a receive center. So it's a little unique. So it's second from the bottom there. Think of it as a fulfillment center for fulfillment centers. So this is one of those locations that aggregates products that are going to be sold on Amazon.com and then delivers them to fulfillment centers. So these are not location specific. They're not necessarily products that are going to this region. They are really our distribution network for the distribution network. So these are a lot rarer. There's only a handful of these around the country, and the location is really very much up in the air, anywhere from the East Coast to the central United States, because again, these are fulfillment centers, distribution centers for our distribution network. One of the things that I'm especially proud of in representing Amazon is that the associates that we're talking about today, the 1,250 new full-time jobs that will be available if this fulfillment center moves forward, those benefits start day 1. The 1,250 jobs are full-time jobs hired to work 40 hours a week. These are part-time jobs, they're not third-party. There will be some of those folks, but the 1,250, what we're talking about, are all full-time. On day 1 that they walk into our fulfillment center, they receive full-time benefits, and they're actually the exact same benefits that I receive as a corporate employee based out of Seattle. Obviously tailored to the laws and regulations of the state, but they have the same options I do in healthcare, dental plan, vision, life insurance, 401k, PTO, maternity leave, and then of course employee stock options, because we want to offer our associates to be owners. We want associates from the tier 1 associate working a fulfillment center all the way up to our senior executives to feel like they have ownership. So all employees for Amazon are eligible for those stock options. A little bit about our career development program. So these are fulfillment center, distribution center type jobs. They are entry level for the most part, but we really try to create a pathway for people to move up and get into better positions if they so choose. A lot of people work for us just for the benefits, but then a lot of people we're seeing are working for us because of the career development opportunities that we have. So starting on day 1, we actually meet with our associates to help them learn goal setting, time management skills, effective listening and speaking skills, conflict resolution. We will actually sit down with them and review their resume if they are going to be applying for another position. Hoping that we can stick around, we develop them, of course. We want to retain those employees, but we also know Amazon isn't for everyone forever, so maybe they want to move on to something else. So we are investing in our associates, investing in their skills, and helping them to get that next job and that next move up. After an associate has been with us for 1 year, they are eligible for our Career Choice program, where we prepay up to 95% of college tuition and associated fees for in-demand classes that employee or associate might want to take. So if you've been with us for a year and you want to get your CDL license, become a machinist, Amazon will actually prepay up to $3,000 or 95% for you to go get that certification. Now, more than likely, a machinist isn't going to stick at Amazon, but hopefully while you're being trained, while you're going to school, you'll continue working for us, continue to be a part of the Amazon family, and when you move on to that next job, hopefully a lifelong Amazon customer. So we've had nearly 16,000 people participate in this program so far. We're extremely proud of the associates who have graduated with their nursing, CDL licenses, bachelor degrees, associate degrees, and all these programs are tailored to the community. So we don't want to be investing in programs that have no relevance or have no jobs here in the community. If, let's say, automation mechanics aren't a really big need here, then we don't want to pay for something that someone can't get a job for. So we'll work with community colleges, work with the local community to really tailor this program to be what does this community need, what jobs are available if only people have training, and tailor this program to that need. Also, the other thing I want to touch on was military hiring. So back in 2016, our CEO, Jeff Bezos, made a public commitment to hire 25,000 veterans at Amazon. We're well on our way to reaching that commitment, but we certainly will continue to drive towards that goal. We haven't hit it yet. And so I want to ask that if we do locate here in the community for your help in hiring those veterans, we do offer accelerated onboarding for veterans. So things like college degree requirement that might be required position is waived for a veteran, so they can get into those leadership positions, higher paying positions even faster. So we are on track to meet the commitment, but we certainly look for partnerships at the state and local level to really help drive that veteran hiring and help us hit our goal of 25,000 associates. A little bit about the project opportunity itself. So again, this serves as a distribution center for distribution centers. So it's a rare type building, one that we kind of run across every couple of years. If that, it's a 615,000 square foot building to be located on Allen Road between Graham and Collins Roads. We're going to invest about $45 million in real property improvements, $35 million in personal property, along with our partners who are here as well. We're going to create 1,250 net new jobs with a site average wage of $14.65 an hour. That does not include benefits, those benefits I mentioned earlier that start on day one. It also does not include any overtime pay, quarterly bonuses that associates are eligible for, as well as the stock options as well. This is in addition to those benefits that our associates will receive. A little bit about the road work that's going to be completed as a part of this project. If I misstate anything, please jump in, but widening of Graham Road, construction of turn lanes, widening of Collins Road. The point that I would like to make, and we certainly have people who can address any specific questions, these are all being paid by Amazon, by our developer. So these are costs that we are taking on that the city is not reimbursing us for. This is a part of our development and things that we are taking on directly. With that, and with the resolution before you today, we are requesting a 10-year real property tax abatement and a 10-year personal property tax abatement. We estimate that even after those abatements over the lifetime of the 10-year term, the city should receive around $5 million in revenue from this project. So as post abatements, that includes $1.3 million in personal property taxes that will also be generated. So a total of $6.3 million that should be received. After that, once the abatement wears off, the abatement is shorter than our lease, so we will be here for a while. Roughly about $1.2 million in real and personal property taxes should be realized by the city. Obviously, all of that is estimates based on how these things are valued once we get to that point by the assessor, but that's what we're thinking as of today and what we're requesting as of today. So all this is extremely important to Amazon. We are a very low margin business. We're a very fast moving business. And the city's cooperation and partnership with us to really make this site the most effective site it can be for us to locate here versus other options we might be looking at. That partnership is just critical to our decision-making process. We are still probably weeks away from making a final location decision, so this is still an active live project. But hopefully, with the action that we take today and some of the other items that still need completed for the development, we can hopefully be making an announcement or a decision sometime in early October. So with that, happy to answer any questions or if I missed anything. We're excited to be a part of this community. Just thank you again for all the time and effort that's gone into this. We take it very seriously. That's why we come here, want to speak openly, transparently about what we're planning to do. Just thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Dunn?
Yes, sir. I'm glad you explained the benefits and everything and put that up. What is the criteria to become an employee at Amazon? I come in the front door, I need a job. And secondly, well, go ahead and answer that one. I'll come up with a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to have a high school diploma or a GED equivalent. And there are also, so we have our associates take a questionnaire when they apply online. Are you willing to stand on your feet for multiple hours a day? Can you lift packages of greater than 25 pounds? Doesn't necessarily exclude people, but we want to get a general idea of what the associate can do and what they're willing to do. One thing we don't say is that this is an easy job where you're just sitting on your butt all day. We take care of our associates. It's a safe job. Safety is our #1 priority, but you are working for an 8-hour shift and you're putting in work. So the requirements, high school diploma, GED, and willing to show up on time and work every day.
Would people from Johnson County or Greenwood addresses get any preferential treatment in the hiring process over people with other addresses?
No, sir. We would hire from anywhere we could. We would certainly partner with the city to have job fairs specific to this community and work with you in order to get people from this community employed. Certainly with the number of people we're talking about, we're going to have to bring in other folks. So right now we don't have any kind of minimum threshold that we have to hit for local hiring, but it's almost impossible for us to predict kind of what that labor pool will look like at a local level. But certainly regionally we're going to be hiring, and certainly happy to partner with you on local job fairs, making sure we're getting the word out to the residents of this community when these jobs become available.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
It took you guys so long. Should have been down here a long time ago. The Whitestown facility should have been here, I think.
Well, we're excited to be here now.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions or discussion on the council?
You could announce HQ2 tonight while you're here.
Mr. Hopper would normally have asked you to move your HQ1 here.
Yeah, I would have, yes. What can we do to bring headquarters 1 to Greenwood, Indiana? Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other questions, discussion on the council?
I thought it was interesting today that Costco announced, without coercion, without incentives, that they were raising not their average pay, but their starting pay at Costco is going to be between $14 and $14.50, depending upon location. And that's without incentives.
I'm not familiar with that. No.
Yeah, I continue to announce it today, so I can't really.
What's that?
I
Yeah, it was just announced, I heard on the way home.
Okay.
I Googled what. To confirm.
All right. Any other discussion on the council?
I mentioned to Dave that I know several people that work for various Amazon locations, and they all love it. They rave about the company. So.
All right. Anything else? Seeing none, then roll call. Resolution 1820, second reading.
Lexi,
Reluctant, aye.
Armstrong,
Nay.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson, Hill, and Hopper.
Aye.
Resolution 1820 passes second reading with a vote of 8 to 1. Thank you. Resolution 1821.
It's going to be hard to do. There's always people up here.
7 to 1. I'm sorry, it's 7 to 1. I can't count. Well, I said 8 to 1, it's 7 to 1. Resolution 1821.
A resolution declaring certain personal property for tax abatement project approved, sponsored by Campbell.
All right, do you have a motion?
So.
Motion by Mr. Bates, second. Second by Mr. Hopper. Any discussion of resolution 1821? I think we've already had a presentation. So. Seeing no discussion, roll call, second reading, resolution 1821.
Armstrong,
Nay.
Bates,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Dine,
Aye.
Gibson, Hill, Hopper,
Aye.
and Lexi.
Aye.
Resolution 1821 passes second reading and the vote is 7 to 1. Thank you. Resolution 1822.
A resolution approving an interlocal agreement between the city of Greenwood and Johnson County regarding the felony case manager in the Greenwood City Court, post-conviction service, probation and drug court, sponsored by Gibson.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Gibson. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hopper.
Can I also ask for one more amendment the word conviction is misspelled. We have a motion to correct the spelling of
So
conviction.
motion by Mr. Bates, second by Mr. Lexi. Any discussion on the motion to amend Resolution 1822? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Resolution 1822 is amended unanimously. Any further discussion on Resolution 1822 as amended? Seeing none, roll call, second reading, Resolution 1822.
Bates.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson. Hill. Hopper. Lexi. And Armstrong.
Aye.
Ordinance Resolution 1822 passes, as amended, passes second reading 8-0. Ordinance 1834.
An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Greenwood, Johnson County, Indiana, concerning the construction of additions and improvements to the sewage works of the city, authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds to provide funds for the payment of the costs thereof, authorizing the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenues of the system, the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of such revenue bonds and other matters connected therewith, including the issuance of notes in anticipation of bonds, and repealing ordinances inconsistent therewith, sponsored by Bates.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gibson, second.
Yeah.
Second by Mr. Hopper. Any discussion, ordinance 1834? Seeing none, roll call, ordinance 1834, second reading.
Campbell.
Aye.
Dine.
Aye.
Gibson. Hill. Hopper.
Aye.
Lexi. Armstrong.
Aye.
And Bates.
Aye.
Ordinance 1834 passes second reading 8-0. New business, introduction of new ordinances and resolutions, ordinance 1835.
An ordinance approving non-exclusive use agreement with MCI Metro Access Transmission Services Corp. for fiber optic systems, sponsored by Bates and Gibson.
Anyone here wishing to talk to us about this?
Good evening. My name is Tim Oxley. I'm the permit engineer working for Tesink Incorporated, which is a telephone design company, and our primary customer in this endeavor is MCI Metro.
Hi, I'm Marshall Boyd. I'm the project manager for Indianapolis for MCI Metro.
Our request to you is that MCI Metro be allowed to have a license to be able to place fiber optic cable within public right of way. And I brought some samples to show you. We've had several of the municipalities who seem to have not as much understanding as we would like to give you the opportunity. You can take a look at them. We can wait till after you're finished with the meeting if you want. But I thought I wanted to share that with you to give you a feel for what the cable looks like, what the structure looks like that we place the cable in, and give you a better overall understanding of what this endeavor is all about, and the fact that we are proposing to place fiber cable feeder facilities within the city of Greenwood. I think the company considers this to be a significantly good market that Marshall can speak to, and if you want to take a few minutes.
Sure. MCI Metro Access is in the process of doing a fiber densification project throughout the city of Indianapolis and surrounding municipalities. And in that project, we are going to be offering what we call a Verizon Business Internet, which is a low-cost internet service to folks, businesses in the service in the municipalities and the surrounding areas. We're also in the process of providing service to one of our subsidiaries, Verizon Wireless, for their 5G network, and Greenwood would be part of the first initial rollout of our 5G project. All right. Any questions there?
Any questions?
The last time we granted access, it was a fiasco.
Understood.
Are you going to make any kind of commitments that you'll be better than the last guys?
I mean, I'll make all the commitments commitments that we will be better than the last group. We are, we're a nationwide company. We are, we're part of the Verizon network. So we will make sure our endeavor is to be a good citizen and make sure that we meet all the criteria, do all the cleanups necessary to make the citizens happy, because your citizens are our customers, and so we want to make them happy and make sure that everything works out well.
Will this be in neighborhoods or just in commercial districts?
Mainly in commercial districts initially, yes.
What the license would avail you to the entire city, it would not limit you to commercial exempt areas? The license you're seeking is for all?
It's basically for the whole, city of Greenwood, but we're concentrating our network build out in the commercial areas.
And does your network incorporate a lot more wireless, or do you need to run, let's say I want to buy your service at my house.
Okay.
Do you have to run cables all the way?
Do I have to run cables to your house?
Yeah.
Probably within probably 1,000 feet of your house. Yes.
I've been wondering how we're gonna fit all this stuff in the ground.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot, and that's the reason we're doing. We're transitioning to mainly utility poles for that, so that it will be seamless and you won't be seeing a whole lot of the density that's necessary for this network.
All right, any other questions?
You said that you're using primarily telephone poles or utility poles?
Yes, sir.
What about the areas where they are underground?
Yeah, we will be installing both aerial and underground cable as well. Yes.
Part of the package that you were given is a map I presented to the board previously to be able to get here to talk to you. And on those maps in the package you have, it shows red and blue lines. And if you look at those, I put it on kind of a generic city limits type map. And it shows you the red lines are buried, the blue lines are where there's an existing pole line that we'd like to attach to. Sometimes those end up having to change for any number of reasons. Things like poles are not structurally sewn up. What's that? Okay. I wanted you to see the density of how big we're going to be and how many placements of the 5G. And one of the things that is kind of really a good thing for the city of Greenwood is the fact that you're part of the first offering of 5G as a new technology available to go faster, do better, and something that I think your constituents really are probably looking forward to. Because I know from my own perspective, I use a different cellular company than the big guys here. And in the process, it's typical for me, I will get 1 bar or 2 bars at home. And if I turn my head this much, I lose service. With the other guys.
MCI Metro employees.
And they're one of the other big guys. Pardon?
These MCI Metro employees installing, or you contract that out to somebody else?
We are contracting that out. Yes, sir. We are contracting out, but we do have local employees also working on the project. I've been working in Indianapolis for the last 30 years.
Well, just keep that in mind when you hire your contractors. We don't have a lot of patience for what went on last time.
One of the things I didn't explain to you.
I won't even ask, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get with somebody at CBS and they can let you know how bad it was. So I would assume if we got any complaints, we would be asking them to pull your permit.
And look, we obviously when you have a project like this, you're going to get complaints. It's just the nature of the beast, because landowners don't know exactly what the right of ways are and everything else. But we do try to. We have an executive response line where it goes straight up to the top and goes all the way down. We try to have a resolution within 48 hours.
I think one of the problems that we had before, there were people hired and there was a company that was being used that hadn't really done that work before, and there wasn't good supervision. So I guess we're asking that there is good supervision on the jobs.
Like I said, we have local engineers that are going to be in charge of the project that will be overseeing it, that live and work in this community all the time. So it's we want to be good citizens.
Thank you.
So that's a piece of our publicity, if you will. I put my business card of each of the chairs around the panel, and I'm the responsible person from Verizon, from MCI, from our parent company, DICOM. It's a holding company for several different engineering and construction management companies and actual construction companies. So my charge responsibility is liaison between all of our companies and you as one of our regulators. And I view you as a regulator. If I have to apply for a permit from your community, you're my boss. You tell me what I can and can't do, and we're going to live by those rules. And if that is a condition, we live with that, and we take ownership of that.
And we will provide you with that executive hotline for any customer.
And about how long do you think you'll be working in our community? Do you have any rough guesstimate?
Well, we're hoping for a very, very long time, honestly. But because like I said, we're hoping that we have a lot of customer commitments, and we're in this neighborhood and in this community for a very, very long time. As far as construction goes, we're anticipating construction taking probably 4 to 6 months.
So you said that you will have to be within 1,000 feet of the line or so?
Well, to be quite honest, we're just here asking for the fiber, the ability to put fiber into the right of way. The wireless entity, which is Verizon Wireless, would have to come and get an actual additional agreement with you guys to place antennas. But you know, that's going to be our primary customer, just to be honest with you.
Okay.
And to be true.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, miscellaneous business from the council. Anybody?
Smith Valley, Meridian, Madison, roundabout update, anybody?
It's gonna be open middle of October, right?
Day away or?
For the roundabout, it looks like the opening of traffic in early October.
And while you're there, how about the connecting road through the football field?
That is also Serena Way.
Yeah.
It's going to be known. That'll be in October as well.
And the resurfacing of Emerson?
October as well.
Yeah, all in October. What about Madison Avenue? Well, you're there.
Joking aside, I think it is October.
October? That's what I've been telling everybody that by Halloween, we'll be able to get through the city without a problem.
Does that sound like a broken record?
Yes, so, all right, thank you. All right, any other miscellaneous business from the council? All right, second opportunity for members of the audience to address the council. So if you'd like to address the council, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening again, Randy Gooden, 1157 Central Park Boulevard, South Greenwood, Indiana. I think you already know I'm very disappointed with this because you were misled a little bit. Stillman talked about transparency with Amazon, but he wasn't transparent totally with you. He didn't tell you about the 2 federal lawsuits that are class action against Amazon, where they haven't paid their employees for overtime, nor allowed them breaks.
You know, I'm sorry, Mr. Gooden, but you had 5 minutes at the beginning, and we've already passed this ordinance, so.
It is, you have, but it's highly disappointing so that you are swayed by a name instead of the facts.
I'm sorry, you don't know what swayed us, so I don't appreciate the accusations.
It's not personal, Mr. Campbell.
I know, but it's still an accusation that's unfounded.
The numbers don't lie, sir.
Well, talk about your numbers, but you're accusing us of being swayed by a name.
Again, it's not personal, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, Nat Ridge. I'm the IAFF Local 4252 Fire Department. Just want to come back and reiterate that Fire Ops 101 that was scheduled for September 8th is now this weekend, September 22nd. Any of the members of the council that would like to come out and observe any of that, we would love to have you out. We'll be starting about 8 in the morning and running until about 2 in the afternoon. I know Ms. Gibson, Mr. Hill came out
it at the same location?
Yes, the, Burgersville Fire Department 202.
All right, anyone else from the audience wishing to address the council? All right, other miscellaneous business, Corporation Council?
Have none?
Controller? Mayor? We are adjourned.